All right. Test, test,
Test.
test, test.
Count them in. Coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's get ready for segment number 3 of Convincing Idiots. This week, on our final segment, we are discussing some of our favorite heels in all of professional wrestling history. As we mentioned in segment number 2, we lost a true great in the Iron Sheik this week, so we thought to pay homage to him, we would discuss some of our favorite heels in the professional wrestling world. Now, many years, many different variations and eras of wrestling, a lot of great heels out there, and especially, as we all know in professional wrestling, theatrics is certainly a premium. So no shortage of personalities here, gentlemen. So let's just get right into it then. Ding, ding, ding. Get squared off here in the squared circle. Dean, let's start with you, buddy. You're the big wrestling guy.
This is
Why don't you start us
the
off?
main event.
That is correct.
All right. I am going to start. You know what? I made a list, but I'm going to start one below. Besides the obvious, let's go ahead and honor the Iron Sheik with being the first inductee to our Idiots Hall of Fame, right? Our Idiots Mount Rushmore. He is the first villain upon. What we've said earlier, he was the ultimate villain. There's a lot of villains that become so cool that people end up turning them face. The crowd ends up turning them face. They end up going, you know what? You're so fucking good. And they ended up becoming natural good guys.
Yeah. The majority of my list is comprised of guys like that. It started off as faces, but they were so cool and likable that it didn't matter how hard you tried to make them a heel. Everybody liked them, and you had to just put them over, and that became the favorite.
The Iron Sheik was so hated that he had no face time. He was never a good guy. I think maybe when he very, very first started, before he became the Iron Sheik. But the Iron Sheik himself could never be a good guy. He was what every heel wrestler wished for. He had the death threats. He had people trying to knife him in the crowd. Everybody that portrayed villains in professional wrestling would die to have the heat that this man had. The Iron Sheik spent his career as a bad guy, never turning back, never apologizing. That is why the Iron Sheik, rest in peace, is our first inductee onto our Mount Rushmore of heel wrestlers.
Nice. It was on my list anyway. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Okay.
Brian, speaking of, who's next on your list?
My number 5, I have the $1 Million Man. I'm not.
Ted DiBiase, nice choice.
Yes, I'm not much. I wasn't much of a huge wrestling fan. I used to watch it every so often. Predominantly in the '80s when I was a teenager and all that type of stuff. But that guy there was so good at being a bad guy. Just the whole, portraying a rich guy, rubbing, mocking people. That guy was great. He gave you, any character like that really you felt anger for when he would come into the ring. You knew they were doing a very good job at what they were trying to portray, and that guy was very, very good. So
he's another one.
Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Yeah.
he's another one that never had a face run. Like everybody just continued to hate him with a passion.
Too good of a bad guy.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and he loved it. You could tell it was just, that's the thing about those guys as well. They love the fact that they have the crowd against them, and I think that just feeds their.
I would love it.
Yeah,
like if we were wrestlers, I would love to be the bad guy.
Sure,
I mean, to give in,
you get the biggest reaction. Sure, right,
but,
especially you,
right? But like to have it's one thing for you can walk out and be like, yay, but like to have like just a stadium full of people just angry and yelling and hissing and booing and cursing at you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a similar reaction we had in a couple live appearances for the podcast.
Yeah, that turned out unfortunate. I got knifed twice. Nick, who do you have next on your list, or your first on your list?
My first on my list. So this is not who I'm about to name is not my submission, but rather it's a way to tie it in. So you guys remember, or at least probably Dean remembers, Earthquake and Monsoon, right? The tag team. The big guys. Names. Typhoon.
Yeah.
Earthquake and Typhoon. That's correct. So way early on, I don't know if you remember, they had a manager back in the early WWF, but even before that, in their very early days of indie wrestling, they had a manager known as the Environmental Disaster. Okay, and he would come to the ring with this moped, just pushing out gas and all these horrible fumes. And the only way that this awful heel was brought to justice was a fucking electric bike from our friends at RPM Bike Shop. The only way to combat the environmental disaster in your neighborhood today is by getting your very own clean electric bike from our friends at RPM
they are
Bike
a baby
Shop.
Face.
They are located in Carrollton, Ohio, not so far from us here. All you got to do is give them a call at 330-808-7792, or you can go into the search bar up on Facebook, just type in RPM Bike Shop, or go to their website, rpmbikeshop.com. There you can see pictures of their wonderful products, as well as, I'm sure, a fantastic video of an electric bike pile driving a moped of days past. So for all this content and so much more, please give our friends at RPM Bike Shop a call today and let them know that you would like to ride your way into your brand new, clean electric future on a spiffy new RPM Bike Shop. Electric bike from RPM Bike Shop today.
Very good. Excellent.
Didn't have an ending for that one, did you?
No, I didn't. I got nervous. I got nervous at the end. I didn't.
It worked out.
Okay,
you did good.
Here's a segue upon a segue here. So I didn't quite have the charisma to end that segment as as my first submission here did. This is a very easy one for me. This is one of the all-time great heels in professional wrestling. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, styling and profiling. He was richer than you. He was better looking than you. He just the whole thing rubbed it in your face, man.
My shoes cost more than your house.
Absolutely, yeah. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, was just so. Again, another example. People loved to hate him, and he was so charismatic and so amazing that you couldn't help but like him, even though you were supposed to hate him, and he was supposed to be rubbing all his wealth and all his wins in your face. Didn't matter. You couldn't help but love the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. So Ric Flair is probably a pretty easy submission.
The beautiful thing about Ric Flair is that he has had a resurgence in like pop culture.
Yeah.
There's like rap songs now with him in it. He almost died. He had some like medical issues where like literally he was like hours away from death. But he ended up kicking out, came back, and he's doing now after that he's doing rap songs. He has his own line of cannabis. He has had a resurgence over the past few years, and since he recovered. And it's a beautiful thing to see. But like Nick said, when he was bad, he was the worst, and people loved him for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Absolutely. So, Dean, who do you got next?
Oh, well, I got to go with what was number one on my list, but boys and girls, the
Yes.
Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Roderick Toombs was, if you were watching WWF or MTV in the early 80s, you know, from around WrestleMania 1, the man could talk you into a building just because you needed to see him get his ass stomped.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper, what he went out and did, not just in the professional world or professional wrestling world, but where he went out into the MTV and pop culture world, and like what he fucking hit Cyndi Lauper with a glass case and smashed Cyndi Lauper, who was the highest recording artist at the time. Smashed her in the face with a golden record in glass case. He would go and like the WrestleMania 1, where it was Mr. T and Hulk Hogan against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper. To taunt him, Roddy Piper would go onto the set of the A-Team with a video crew and taunt Mr. T. And I'm not 100% sure Mr. T was like aware that was going to happen, because like some of that video is Roddy Piper just being the biggest dick. And Mr. T, like you can see that gleam, and like when you see in somebody's eyes, you can tell like when a wrestler's gonna like, you know, all right, let's go. Or you can see that gleam where like, hold on, what the fuck's happening? What'd you say? You know what I mean? Like Roddy Piper was the first heel to blur the line so bad that like you almost like needed him to, like, as a human being, not like as a professional wrestler. You needed him as a human being to get his ass kicked by whatever Mr. T's real name is. Like you're like, this guy's such an asshole that like he's like taking it out of like this tongue-in-cheek world, and like he's fucking with like society now.
Yeah.
And he was so fucking good at it. But again, he is one, like Nick said, that overcame, and like in time people just endured it and loved it.
Hate,
correct. Yeah. But like go back, if you want to go on a fun YouTube run, go YouTube Roddy Piper 1980s promos, and they will that is just gold. He was so like Brian, the line in They Live, the director just said
he had lived that, right?
Yep, he ad-libbed chewing bubblegum, kicking ass. He ad-libbed that because like that's what he did for a living, is think off the cuff to piss people off. I can't say enough. I mean, I know this is Mount Rushmore, but to me, Roddy Piper is the greatest heel in professional wrestling or in entertainment in general. So,
well, they gave him his own little, like, quote unquote talk show, right?
Piper's Pit.
He was so good that they had to give him more airtime by doing that Piper's Pit thing. Yeah.
WrestleMania, I can't remember. I want to say it was WrestleMania or SummerSlam, WrestleMania 6, around that time. Do you guys remember, Nick? You probably won't because he was retired by then, but Morton Downey Jr.
Oh, yeah.
He was on WrestleMania, and they were supposed to have a back and forth, and they actually their egos were so big, live on camera in the ring, they started like kind of yelling at each other in real life until like he sprayed him with a fire extinguisher because he was blowing smoke. And again, in professional wrestling, there's one of the bigger lines. Morton Downey just takes a drag of the cigarette and blows in his face, and Roddy Piper with the Canadian accent, "Oh, no. Don't blow no more smoke in my face." And he blows it again. No, he did it. Oh, I told you, no, don't blow no more smoke in my face. And then he sprays him with the fire extinguisher. Roddy Piper, face or heel, was amazing. But as a heel, go down that rabbit hole, people. Roddy Piper, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you will goddamn appreciate Roddy Piper.
He even actually played the bagpipes too, right? Did he come out and actually play real bagpipes
absolutely.
the whole
Yeah.
bit?
He was amazing. He did it as a kid since he was a kid, and actually that's another fun one. If you have then go to the A&E does those biographies. They did one on him, and it's really fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, to a point, it impacted his family life, and he had to be careful going out in public because people really took the character very serious. Yeah. That's how he made his living. Go ahead.
This was not authentic or serious from what I understand, but it still was entertaining nonetheless. Did you guys ever see the celebrity wife swap they did with Roddy Piper and Ric Flair?
Yes.
That's fucking awesome.
Yes. That was awesome.
That was very good.
Wow. That was good.
Probably completely staged, but entertaining nonetheless.
Sure. Yeah. He did a celebrities ghost story thing on A&E. And I don't know if any of you two know or remember it, but he fought Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 3 and shaved Adrian Adonis's head. Adrian Adonis left. He was a bigger guy, very flamboyant, sexually ambiguous, type character. But they were best friends in real life. And he did an A&E biography where this medium was like walking him around, telling him that Adrian Adonis was there in the room with them. Very strange. It was very emotional, in that. But yeah, it was very, very different. But yeah, that's the thing is like he was so popular that like he branched out even in his older age. Into pop culture and all these different avenues, whether it be wife swap or celebrity ghost story or
just an entertaining guy.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we already talked about it as well. I mean, not many professional wrestlers. I don't know anybody. I mean, Hulk Hogan certainly was in a couple of movies and things, but we talked about They Live. I mean, Rowdy, it just that were they.
A lot of wrestlers,
cult classic science fiction movies of all time. A lot of
wrestlers are out there doing cameos in movies, but he was the main character, right? There's very few, that get the star. The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Roddy. The list is short and distinguished.
Yep, very good, great stuff. Yeah, he was number one on my list. Dean.
Remember when I was talking about me talking too much? This is one of those.
That's all right. That's all right. Honoring one of the greatest.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's number one on my list, Dean.
Absolutely.
So I'll pick another one on my list.
Yep.
How about Jake the Snake Roberts?
Absolutely.
That guy was like quintessential 80s looking dude, like the mullet, the greasy mullet. The tights that had the big snake down he had a great look. Yeah, obviously he had actual snakes. Yeah,
he didn't have to.
Right,
he didn't have to yell.
I was so mad at him when he locked the Ultimate Warrior in a room full of snakes, and that cobra bit him. I was pissed.
That was
I was
so
like,
awesome.
"Fuck you, Jake the Snake."
Loved it.
I was so mad.
With the DDT. I remember the DDT move.
Oh, the DDT was the most deadliest move in the world. First of all, in real life, grab somebody by the head and
drive their brain into the ground.
That is probably one of the most deadliest moves you could do to somebody.
Sure,
in real life.
yeah.
He was on
he had no good qualities, nothing, nada. It was just always like, it's Jake the Snake Roberts. That's good. Yeah. Anyway.
And if
you want fun character, good.
If you want to see another one, watch the documentary show, "The Resurrection of Jake the Snake."
Yeah, with Diamond Dallas Page. And
it is
Scott
heartbreaking
Hall,
and uplifting, all in the same movie. It's actually, I highly recommend that one. That's good.
Okay, I will check that out. Yep, very good.
For my next submission, it would be completely inexcusable if I began this conversation with any other two words other than, "Hey, yo, the bad guy, Razor Ramon, the bad guy, Razor Ramon." We've been talking a lot, and that's what do we love about the bad guys? The charisma, right? The attitude, the cool factor. Razor Ramon was another one. I don't know. He was one of those blurred lines when we're like, I don't know in what capacity he was supposed to be a bad guy because he was just too cool right off the bat.
I don't
But
even
he
know
was
if he
the
had
bad guy.
a face turn. Like
Yeah,
he was just
it
so
was never
cool.
like Razor Ramon is now a good guy doing morally good things or helping the good guys. It was just everybody fucking likes this guy because he's awesome. He had the toothpick and the little curl and the it's just the whole thing, man. The vest, the Razor's Edge is one of my favorite finishing moves of all time.
Sure.
That's another one. If you actually pulled that off on somebody, taking somebody like Jesus pose backwards on your back and driving the back of their neck to the ground is like will mess you up. But yeah, man, Razor Ramon was just always one of the favorites of mine.
Brian almost killed me doing it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was facing the other way behind you, but something like that.
When the Razor's Edge of the Dean's staff.
That's right. Yeah,
that's right.
And also I'll take this opportunity to add an honorable mention and slip it in there because I was going to bring them up at some point. Not only was he Razor Ramon and not only an incredible bad guy, but the bad guy in his first rendition in the WWF, but as he went to WCW, also formed one of the greatest heel groups in the New World Order in WCW, comprised of also Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, and Hulk Hogan, and many other wrestlers entered the NWO ranks as time went on, but those were the original three. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon is my pick next.
I like it.
Dean?
All right, I'm going to go old school. Brian, I think you're going to remember this name. And I'm mentioning also because he actually passed just recently, 2 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks ago. But this gentleman was the prototype. Wrestlers are now in WWE call them superstars, not wrestlers. This stems from the superstar Billy Graham. Superstar Billy Graham with his bleach blonde hair and the wild tie-dye and the rhyming. If you go back and look at even the faces or heels, everybody stole something from Billy Graham. The way Dusty Rhodes did his promos too. If you look at Hulk Hogan's early stuff before he was, Hulkamania, he was doing superstar Billy Graham. Everybody, because he was so left field and out of his time, that everybody was like taking a little bit from superstar because he was that good. As a heel, people hated him, but he was so influential in that world, you couldn't help but quote unquote borrow from him because he was that innovative. So a lot of people have a lot of things to thank superstar Billy Graham for, but us as fans can thank him for being such a bastard heel that we hated. So rest in peace, superstar Billy Graham.
Superstar Billy Graham.
Very good. Excellent. Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How do you not put us on Mount Rushmore? Oh, yeah.
Now that's another one. Started out as a heel, but by the end was total face.
Well, he was also one of those that could go in and out. He had this peaks and valleys. He could go seamlessly from the Macho King hated wrestler. Miss Elizabeth comes back and he's now like the most loved guy. Like he was so good at everything.
Yeah, because I feel like most of my childhood, I remember him as a face. Now I know he was a heel when I was little, but like my memory of wrestling when Macho Man was around was like he was a good guy. Like he was teaming up with Hogan, and he was like he was just like one of the everybody loved Macho Man.
He played Randy Poffo, aka the Macho Man, played minor league baseball for the Cincinnati Reds.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No shit.
His actually first love was baseball before he got into wrestling
and rapping.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Also made in the movies. He was the
That's right.
The wrestler that wrestled the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the ring.
Yeah,
in
that's
Spider-Man's
right.
first appearance.
Buzzsaw? Is it
Buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw. That's right.
That's right.
That's
Yep, all that stuff. Yep. Yeah, just one of the greatest characters, period, in wrestling history, hands down. The guy was just, like I said, another guy. Any clip I see him, I just pay attention to it. He was so
Electric.
on. Yeah, right. Exactly. So, yes, great Macho Man.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That's my 5, by the way. That's
5.
Yeah,
I'm only on.
I have 2 more.
I'm saying we'll do honorable mention, but I'm just saying
Right.
we had overlap.
Yeah,
so
we overlapped here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I've said 2 guys. I'm like, how are you?
Right.
No, I had Roddy, Macho Man,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Iron Sheik, Jake the Snake, and $1 Million Man. That's what I had.
Okay. And I have a bunch written down, and then I'm crossing off ones
more.
the guys say, and I'm kind of like making my 5 on the fly.
Well, I have 5,
That's
but
fine.
like I have a lot in my head, so I don't.
No, it's fine. We do honorable
Last
mention.
year.
I'm just saying that was my.
Okay, well-
Nick, who's next? Nick. Go
My
ahead.
next submission,
Yeah.
yes, it is me. Similar to the Macho Man, right? This guy started out as a heel, but it's hard to even remember that. It was only at the very beginning because everybody loved him so damn much. He was one of my most favorite heels of all time when he actually was one. And he was completely unrivaled on the mic. Only few could really hang in the ranks with him, and it's proven in his career that's followed afterwards. When The Rock was the corporate champion, he was one of the best heels, in my opinion.
He sure was.
Certainly borrowed a lot from Ric Flair. It was that
I
very
prefer
era.
I prefer
love
heel Rock.
Yeah, before he became the people's champ, he was the corporate champ.
Right.
And it was very, with the chains and the bracelets and everything
Insults.
was so, yeah, he was so much better than everyone. I love
Right.
those characters. I just love it. The arrogance is fucking key. There's something about it that is so awesome. I think it's just because like it's a mixture of the ridiculousness of someone acting that way, but also
Sure.
it's almost a little bit admirable that it's certainly in a world with such
He goes, I'm better
bravado
than you. And you
as
go, yeah, probably.
as professional wrestling where and these are all characters. It's so much fun to have a character like that that's so over the top and thinks they're so much better than you and you're such a peon. And The Rock did it with the best of them when he was, when he ceased to be Rocky Maivia, first became The Rock and therefore the corporate champion. Heel version of The Rock was one of my all-time favorites.
The eyebrow wasn't supposed to be endearing.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was supposed to be a dick move.
Same with the smell. When he would pause, the long,
Right.
dramatic pause, it was all just so over the top and just in your face
Absolutely.
and, exaggerated and ridiculous. It was just awesome. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. So,
Totally.
yes, The Rock was my next one.
Very good.
All right.
Excellent.
My next one, I'm going to change it up because I think I might have the only female wrestler on the Mount Rushmore. Boys.
Mae Young.
First of all, Mae Young was a face. She was a beautiful face. But
Fabulous
her
Moolah.
friend, the Fabulous Moolah.
Oh, is that who it is?
That's exactly who it is.
Nice. Okay.
The Fabulous Moolah was so just disgusting. Like not as like a female person. Like she was just the ultimate bad guy. Because for so many years she was like really the only female wrestler. Because like women had to go through her, so she was the champion for years and years and years and years. But she was like the hated, like she was the Ric Flair. She was the Iron Sheik. She, you know what I mean? Like, because there wasn't in her day that many female wrestlers. They weren't presented the way they are now. She was the bad guy. Like there was only good guys to face her. They only took, the Rock and Robbins and the Wendy Richters to fight her. You know what I mean? Because she was the champion, the ultimate bad guy. And unfortunately, from reports, I don't know for whatnot, but reports say that she was probably a bad guy in real life too.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's reports of like her, like when these like other women would come into like companies, like she would like take a cut of their money type deal.
She's like, "Hey, fuckers, I've cornered the market here. This is my domain. I am the woman here in wrestling."
Yeah, the rumors that she wasn't real great, but like again, I never met her. I don't know shit. That's what people say. All I know, as a on TV professional wrestler, she was a fantastic bad guy. So she is the female on the list, the fabulous Moolah.
Very
Brian,
good.
who you got?
I'm getting into some of my honorable mentions here now.
Okay.
Again, no surprise, another 80s guy. 80s. I just very, very good at being the villain. How about the ravishing Rick Rude?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
What a great pick.
That is a good
one. I'm actually a little annoyed that I didn't think of him.
Yeah. Guy was just great. Is super cocky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just super
print
good.
Your opponent's wife on spray paint her face on your dick before a match is the ultimate heel move.
Yeah. Somewhere,
and that was Jake the Snake.
Yeah,
Jake the Snake. And it wasn't even like a actress playing his wife. He spray painted Jake the Snake's real life wife's face on his dick before SummerSlam, and then fought him. God bless you, Ravishing Rick Rude. You actually, just thinking of that moment there, you might be my favorite heel. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, this is a fun Nick fact. Somewhere floating around, and my mom probably has it on VHS. There is a home video of me in my living room wearing a bathrobe, doing a Rick Rude intro, saying, and in a few, I'm probably 5 at the time. In a few moments, I'm going to take off this robe and show all you Cleveland clowns what a real man looks like.
Oh, you didn't use Sweat Hogs? Sweat Hogs was a great one to use.
Sweat Hogs.
Oh, you ugly North Dakota sweat hogs. What a real man looks like. And then, like, I tell you what, when you get out of the shower, right, before I towel off in real life, I kind of like, shake and, that way you're not getting the towel like super wet, right? And there are some moments where I do the Rick Rude where you come up from here and throw the water off. Come on. It's just fucking Ravishing Rick Rude. Why not?
Yeah. He was so good. I remember the camera would pan on him, and he would like look right at the camera, pucker up, like just all that stuff.
With that fucking beautiful mustache,
that good porn mustache. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the mullet, the '80s mullet he had going.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Fun fact again, before we move on, the fun fact about Ravishing Rick Rude is that he is the only professional wrestler to appear during the Monday Night Wars on Monday Night Raw and WCW Nitro on the same night.
Wow.
Really?
Because he had filmed a on Raw and quit because it was taped. It was, for the previous week. And then he showed up live on Nitro.
No shit.
So he's the only professional
was
wrestler.
Live. That's right.
Was live.
Yep.
And Raw was being taped. Every other was live. So he's the only professional wrestler to be on both shows in the same night.
Interesting.
And all he did was just shave his mustache when he went to the next show. Yeah. I think he wore even the same goddamn suit or something, but
yeah. Somebody's wife from WWF is still on his dick over in WCW. Like, I forgot to change.
Wait a minute, I know that lipstick.
It's the last guy. All right, am I up? Was that Brian? Yeah, with Ravishing Rick Rude.
Ravishing Rick Rude.
So
I'm sorry. I apologize, Nick. So we talked about repainting a rival's wife on your private parts. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to take that. Just thinking about that. You want to take it to another level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe tattoo. If you're that much of a villain, a heel. Maybe you want to actually tattoo your friend's or rival's wife in your private area. Who knows?
First of all, I'm not
Go
going to tattoo my sister on my crotch.
Yeah. Man, maybe not. I hope not. Not you personally. Maybe somebody
I
out
should have
there
picked somebody
does.
else to be rivals with. Damn it.
Yeah.
Didn't work out like I wanted
Somebody
to.
out there may. I don't know. If you're looking for that sort of tattoo, or something else, perhaps, check out our sponsor, Golden Heart Tattoo in Norton, at Golden Heart Norton and ORTON on Facebook. You give them a call at 234-706-2982. Look them up online at goldenhearttattoos.com. So,
And I guarantee
There you
you,
have it.
when you're getting a tattoo by
mhm.
either one of those two, you can have this conversation, and they will, they will gladly have this conversation with you
Oh,
about
absolutely.
wrestling villains.
Absolutely. Nick, back to you. Who was next on your list, sir?
This one I'm going to go with all cool factor. One of my favorite heels, just from just the overall aesthetic of this character. Was one of my favorites. Papa Shango. This was a
Cool, yeah.
90s villain. He was a voodoo priest kind of character. Later, he became the Godfather. He was
Right.
he was a member of the
Kama
what was it?
Mustafa.
Yeah, he was a member of
Yeah.
the IRS. What was that? The corporate or whatever they were.
That was early Kama Mustafa, but he was part of Nation of Domination.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, Papa Shango was a really cool character. He had the whole face paint and the tall hat and the necklace, and he'd come
He
out.
was supposed to be like a New Orleans voodoo priest.
Yes,
I remember that guy, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. He was another one. I don't know what it was with people locking the Ultimate Warrior in rooms with things, but he laid him down on a table and he started throwing up all this crazy shit and stuff. And it was that's when wrestling really started kind of toying with the storylines, taking it to the next level, where it was more than just cutting promos and shit talking each other. They would have little snippets of things happening elsewhere, that would lead up to the big match. But I always thought Papa Shango was just a really fucking cool character. So, like I said, he was short-lived. He didn't last that long, but I thought he was a really interesting and a unique character. So, Papa Shango, I'll throw up there.
Good. I like that.
Dean?
All right. It's the only last one before I get to my honorable mentions. I'm going modern. I'm going today. I'm going today as the biggest heel in wrestling today.
Dominic.
YouTube.
Rey Mysterio's son with the
Do you
mullet.
know about that?
That's spending overnight.
Do you know about that?
Yeah, we watched WrestleMania at your house. That's how I know.
No, I mean, after WrestleMania, that kid can't get on the mic. Like, the boos in the crowd are deafening. Where he can't after he actually starts talking, you can't hear him.
They're that mad about the domestic disturbance on Christmas Eve.
I guess,
mom?
but people love to boo that kid.
And then he went to prison for her.
They hand him the mic, and it's just deafening boos.
Yeah.
No, but I'm actually going to go with the main bad guy of today. I'm going Roman Reigns. He has just celebrated 1,000 days as champion.
Wow.
And he has pinned everybody and beat everybody there is, and he's unapologetic. And what they're doing in storyline now is very cinematic. They're doing a lot of creative, different stories. It's almost Godfather-like, and I'm not saying Godfather film-esque, but storyline. He's the Godfather, that type thing. And it's done so well. And there are those times where people want to, the crowd starts cheering him, but he's so good as a character and as a performer. He can turn it around and make people just destroy him with boos in in a sentence.
Yeah.
So the guy is so good at what he's doing right now. It's off the chart. Definitely the last 10 years, he's the best bad guy, best heel, best villain there is. So Roman Reigns tops my Mount Rushmore.
Nice.
Very good.
Brian?
Another honorable mention for me. Nick already touched on this a little bit earlier. How about Hollywood Hogan when Hulk Hogan went bad?
There you go.
This is sort of I'm getting sort of out of the wrestling a little bit more at this stage of the game, but I remember seeing a few things with him. He was a good bad guy. Hulk Hogan was just a very good character actor anyway.
Yeah,
but he played a very excellent bad guy.
Yeah, Hollywood Hogan was good on him.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about doing that look, by the way, like this year. I'm gonna do the black beard,
blood mustache.
Yeah. Like the blonde like Fu Manchu. Yeah,
I like it.
I'm thinking about.
I think it'll work for you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll pick up from here. Nick, okay. I'm going to go ahead. No, you're good. My last submission here, this was one of my most hated heels, as he was a big rival of my all-time favorite, but Shawn Michaels did a good job at being a heel, both when he, read all phases. He would turn against Marty Jannetty. He had his own little thing. He was a great solo. Honestly, great athlete, great wrestler, very acrobatic. But so he definitely was good there, and he played the part really well, right? The womanizer, the showboater, and then was also a part of DX.
I hear
Triple
he was
H.
a sexy boy.
And he was a sexy boy. He was a sexy boy. He's a little cross-eyed now, but he was a sexy boy. But
age will get you, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of shots to the head and whatnot. But Shawn Michaels always did a good job. Again, I don't know how much of a full heel he ever was. People just always kind of gravitated towards him because of his charisma, and he was always very likable. But he did a good job at it, and so Shawn Michaels would probably be my last submission. If it's cool with you guys, I'll just rattle off some honorable mentions and finish up my list here. This one I was going to bring up earlier, but his time as a heel was so damn brief because everybody loved him so immediately that it's almost even funny to think of him as a heel, but Stone Cold Steve Austin was supposed to be a heel. He was presented as a heel, but he was impossible.
I was one of those
from the
that
fucking drop.
Loved him as a heel.
Yeah.
And then they started turning him face.
They
and
never
stuff,
really
but
changed anything about him, though. He was always him. That's when you started to realize that, people like this. That was never the intent to turn him to face. It was just impossible to keep him as a heel because
I took the kids to a show a couple weeks ago, last year, right? And it was a house
show last year.
Whatever. It was a house show.
Time is a funny thing. Yeah.
It was a house show, and I just told them, this is entertainment, this is fun, boo the bad guys. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Boo the bad guys. And people didn't do that with Stone Cold.
Right.
They booed for a week or whatever. You know what I mean? And then,
they found out quick. Especially when they pivot towards he's this anti-establishment. And he does what he wants, and they found that people related to the shit that he was doing more than they were, condemning him for this behavior. They were like, "Fuck yeah, like that guy's awesome. He fucking chugs beer and flips his boss off in the face, and he's like he doesn't fucking care. He breaks all the rules, and he's awesome." And he was so impossible, but he was supposed to be a heel, so technically I guess he would count. And my last honorable mention, I obviously one of my favorite heels, even though he's the opposite of Stone Cold. He was a lifetime face, and it was unnatural for him to be a heel, but when Bret Hart was a heel, I did very much enjoy that.
Good heel work.
I enjoyed the over the top pro Canadian angle, the Hart Foundation,
he has the best line. He's out at the ring. He goes, I tell you what, if God was, to ever put an enema in the United States, he'd put it right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Great
fucking heel line.
My favorite of all time is they always say America, love it or leave it. Well, the only thing I love about it is leaving it, and it's like chef's kiss, just perfectly done.
I liked him better as a heel, as a face.
I did too. Like I said, it was unnatural because he was always that. And even he talks about he did not like doing that because it just wasn't him. But it was good. It was cool, and it was at that turn in the Attitude Era when everything pivoted away from the wrestling that those guys were used to, as to where what was good is now bad and what is bad is now good. And he had no other choice. So He didn't really change. It was more the audience changed.
Well, I
around
even
him.
like that in that same time period, he would go to Canada or even anywhere else in the world.
He was the good guy. Yeah, everybody loved him everywhere
in America,
else.
he was a heel.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Like, depending on what country you're in, if you're in the U.S., booze. Canada, a golden god.
Right, yeah. And still, he just got his walk on the Canadian, his star on the Canadian Walk of Fame.
Good for him.
Yeah. So, my all-time favorite, my hero in wrestling, the Hitman. But that's it for my honorable mentions, and that rounds out my list. So.
I'm going to go two quick honorable mentions, and then I'll speak on Mr. Perfect. Kurt Hennig was. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't hate a guy that's better than you?
Right.
No matter what, he's just better than you. Triple H was just the most dastardly heel you could have. I mean,
I personally loved when he was taking sledgehammers to people's knees.
Yes,
that was just
exactly.
just fucking wrecking people with sledgehammers.
He was the boss. He's done everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to really put like an actual Mount Rushmore, he might actually make the actual cut.
Sure.
But then let me talk real quick to my last two honorable mentions. Let me talk about managers.
Mm-hmm.
We said wrestlers, so these honorable mentions.
I think I know one.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah.
Is one of the greatest performers, and just on the mic, physically, before he hurt his neck, like him bouncing around, taking bumps with the Ultimate Warrior when they put him in the weasel costume. Just Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary mic was, again, you can go deep dive, go into Peacock and the WWE Network, and just listen to Bobby the Brain Heenan and his one-liners. He was a comedic genius, really. And then my last one, I would be remiss if Megan didn't let me mention Paul Heyman.
Oh yeah, from ECW, and I mean he was later in WWE and stuff. Yeah,
he was an advocate for Brock Lesnar. Now he's with Roman Reigns.
He was Rhino. He was with Rhino for a while, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
That man could talk anybody into the building. He's just greasy and weaselly, but between his facials, expressions and his just weaselness, he's just I actually would call Paul Heyman a brilliant actor, not just a brilliant, wrestling whatever. I would call Paul Heyman a brilliant actor. So I'm going to end with Paul Heyman being on my list.
Nice. Well, I never thought of managers, but one I have to say, the Mouth of the South. I mean, Jimmy Hart. That's one I thought was gonna pop up. I didn't even think of managers, but as soon as you said the word, I was like, "Oh man, Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, man. He was
Jimmy
great."
Hart actually blends into your Shawn Michaels one because he wrote "Sexy Boy."
Did he really? The song?
He actually wrote a majority of the wrestlers from the 80s and early 90s theme songs.
Oh wow!
He actually is such a gifted a musician. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 1950s band, the Gentrys. He was a member of the Gentrys.
Okay.
I think they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but yeah, he was a member of the Gentrys in the 1950s before he got into with Jerry Lawler in Memphis in wrestling.
Wow.
So.
Very cool.
All right. Last honorable mention, by the way, Andre the Giant.
Yes.
So,
oh yeah.
Most physical, imposing.
Yep.
Humans ever in the ring. Great bad guy.
Yeah.
I had him, like I thought about him, and Megan stopped me. She goes, "You can't put Andre on as a bad guy. Good Princess Bride." And I mean, he had so many years before. Like, he spent more years as a good guy as a bad guy. But, Brian, you're right. Those years that he had as a bad guy were very significant. Like he was just a dominating, silent menace.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could argue that it was WrestleMania 1, right? Was him and Hulk Hogan. I mean, if that.
No, WrestleMania 1 was him, and he won the Battle Royal, throwing out a bunch of wrestlers and professional football players.
Okay.
WrestleMania 2, he beat Big John Studd in a body slam match. And then WrestleMania 3 was him and Hogan.
Okay. But he was obviously essential in creating a spectacle of that event,
absolutely.
Just with his physical, and obviously what he brought to the table as far as his
Andre the Giant
character acting.
Andre the Giant was one of the cornerstones of professional wrestling as we know it in general, because he was like what the spectacle was before, like, even you started like WrestleMania 1, or you know what I mean, like how we know professional wrestling. He was going throughout the territories, throughout the country, just being the spectacle, and everybody without even TV knew the name Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, he was a giant among men, and we are equally a giant among podcasts.
Yeah, eat
That's right.
shit,
I
other
think.
podcasts.
Yeah,
That's right. That's
coming
right.
for you, brother.
Yep. But unfortunately, for you guys out there listening, this episode's coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Nick.
Yes.
Yeah. It took a minute. We got there.
Yeah. Maybe take us out I feel, Dean, I don't know about you, I feel like just a villainous wrestler
That's what I'm thinking.
outtake, just something in that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
And remember, Saturday night, that's the fight.
Saturday night's fight night.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. I'm getting really sick and tired of hearing about all these other podcasts, all these losers, these second-rate hacks sitting in their parents' basement making podcasts, acting like they're on the same level as us and Convincing Idiots. You know how I know that they're not on our level? Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. They're not on our level because they don't have a link tree. That's right. You don't believe me? You don't believe me, Mean Dean, and the nasty, dastardly Brian? Well, then go find out for yourselves. Go to Google, baby. Type in Convincing Idiots. Linktree, LINKTREE. Let me spell it out for you, since some of these losers out there can't spell. If that's not enough for you, you need to go over to our website, convincingidiots.wordpress.com. We got merch. We got links to where you can hear our wonderful voices each and every week. For all that and so much more, I have been Nasty Nick, the Millennial.
I've been the Zennial Dean.
Can you smell what the Gen X has cooking?
Did you see the interference from the picture? Have we convinced you to come and take the title from us, baby? Woo! Come get some.
Hey, Dean with Convincing Idiots. Brian and Nick here. Like and subscribe.
Ham gravy.
Let's start the show.
Good.
These things are foggy as fuck.
But they're not meant to be actual sunglasses.
I would say I've also had them since I was like 4. So.
Right.
All right.
All right. Promo.